guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome to my channel. I'm Titch92 and today's video is going to be for last Sunday's Spooky Sunday. So I will just get straight into it. I have 5 more spooky stories from around the web, so this is part 2. Okay, so number 1, we have my friend called me after she passed away. True story. My best friend died of cancer back in 2002. We were incredibly close in every way, and we spent the majority of our free time together. Almost a year after she died, I was in my apartment sleeping, and my phone rang at around 3 AM. I had one of those Sony Ericsson T610s. I was very groggy and picked up the phone from my nightstand and looked at it. I saw it was my friend's number. I immediately became alert and awake, and answered the phone very curious. I said hello a few times, but all I could hear was very loud static for about 30 seconds. Eventually, the call ended. At this point, I was freaking out and called the number back, only to get an automated recording that this number was out of service. I then called her mother's house to see if possibly her older sister may have my friend's old phone and might have called by accident. But there was no answer at my friend's mother's home. Come to find out, the remaining family were away in Miami. After they came home a few days later, I took the phone to them and showed them the call log, and they were in disbelief. They went to my friend's room and got the phone out of the drawer where it had been sitting for months. Battery stone cold dead. Number 2. A ghost haunted the hotel room. A man goes to a bed and breakfast. While checking in, the owner tells him that the room next to him is undergoing repairs, so don't open the door or anything. The man goes to his room, drops off his things, but then is bored. He pokes around the house a little, and with nothing else to do, decides to see the room that needs repairing. He tries the door, and it's locked. He wonders why the owner would even bother warning him about this room, since it's locked anyway. Whatever. He peeks through the keyhole, and the room beyond isn't actually being repaired. It's completely empty, except for a figure in the far side of the room, sitting in a chair facing the wall. The man stands up again, creeped out. Just to make sure he wasn't imagining things, he bends down and looks through the keyhole again. This time, he doesn't see the figure, or the room at all, just the colour red, like someone was blocking the keyhole with construction paper. Weirded out, the man goes to bed. When he's at breakfast with the owner the next morning, the man asks him casually about the repairs in the next room. The owner sighs and says, "Truthfully, I don't rent out that room because so many people have told me it's haunted by a ghost with red eyes." Number 3. Margaret tries to adopt. When my son was about 3, he had an imaginary friend in his room who he used to talk to all the time. He would tell stories about things she would tell him, and we would hear him chatting to her at bedtime. We thought it was pretty cute. After a few months, my son said he wasn't friends with her anymore. We figured he was over his phase of seeing her, so were surprised to hear him still talking to her at night. Then he started not wanting to go to bed and having really bad dreams. At some point, we ended up asking a lot of questions about her. We assumed she was a little girl, but apparently she was 47. She lived in the wall, and he stopped being friends with her because she wanted him to call her Mummy. Her name was something like Margaret. She wanted him to come and live in the wall with her. He told me he didn't want to talk to her anymore, and she wouldn't go away. We eventually moved house, and he stopped talking about her. Funny thing is, when I was pregnant with him, living in the same house, I used to have dreams about a lady sitting at a dining table in our bedroom, except it was a different era, and the room was not a bedroom at the time. The lady used to knit and make me listen to her giving me parenting advice, while her two 20-ish-year-old sons sat at the table quietly. Number 4. Jim reaches out. About a couple of weeks after I was born, my dad's best friend, Jim, died. They were really close, and one of the last things he wanted was to hold little me before he passed. His wish was filled, and some short time after that he was gone. Fast forward 7 years. I'm now a happy 7-year-old with a 5-year-old brother and recently born sister. One day the phone rings, and with my mum out and dad in the washroom, I thought it was going to be ignored, as we kids were still too young to answer the phone. No call displayed. We didn't know if there would be a stranger. But my brother broke the rules and answered. Hello? At this point, my dad is out of the washroom and is asking my brother to hand him the phone. He ignores him and keeps listening to whoever is speaking. Before my dad could ask a second time, my brother hangs up, looks at him and says, "Jim says hi and he misses you," then goes back to playing. The look of shock my dad had is what I remember most about this. Number 5. He saw a shadowy figure he couldn't explain. My house was built in 1904. It is a single-family home, wood frame setting on a concrete block foundation. I have been living here for almost 12 years. Of all of the weird things my siblings and me have seen or heard in this house, this one event is my favourite. This happened to my brother. About 10 years ago, my brother and his best friends had started a garage band playing mostly Spanish rock, alternative music, but in Spanish. His friends could only get together on Sunday afternoons. They would practice into the early evening. They would usually call it quits by 8 p.m. This was the time I usually showed up and went to bed, because I worked the graveyard shift. This happened in late fall, so the days were getting shorter. They had just finished a long session when the decision to head to someone else's house came about. My brother handed his car keys to his buddy so they could load up the equipment. Everyone had filed out of the basement. The tricky part was that they needed to walk all the way to the back of the basement, up the back of the stairs, through the kitchen doorway, down the hall, into the living room, and out into the front porch. Everyone was outside, sitting in my brother's truck, waiting for him. My brother was walking up the back stairs when he remembered he had left pancakes in a to-go container, sitting on a speaker in the basement. So after my brother walks back, he is about to retrieve his food container, when out of the corner of his eye, he sees it. It's a shadowy figure right at his peripheral vision. This feeling of dread and uneasiness washed over my brother. We had been taught that if you are in the presence of a spirit or ghost and you have felt a bad vibe, to say a quick prayer or to cuss it out. My brother chose the latter. He basically just told it, "Hey, stuff you, I don't have time for this crap." My brother started to walk to the back of the basement and briskly up the stairs, closing doors and turning off lights as he was walking out. The last switch is on the opposite side of the front door. Luckily, the door was open and the light from the street lamp was flooding the living room with its amber light. My brother said he felt something at his back, but at no point did he turn around. As he flicked the last switch, the living room went dark, as the rest of the house. As he stepped out, he pulled on the door, closing it behind him. Still holding his food container in one hand, he jogged down the few porch steps. He walked towards the front gate. Our house resides far from the main street, essentially having a large front yard but no rear garage. As he closed the gap between himself and his friend-laden truck, he kind of smiled and thought things over in his head. mad at himself for spooking out when there was no reason. He climbed into the driver's side of the truck, putting on his seatbelt, ready to pull out of the parking spot directly in front of the house, when one of his friends asked, "Hey, wait, what about your brother? Isn't he coming with us?" My brother answered, "What do you mean? He went to work early tonight. He is already gone. Do you see his car anywhere?" The next question they asked, "So then, who was walking behind you when you were leaving the house?" And that is your lot for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed these stories, and I hope some of them spooked you slightly or gave you chills. Which story got you the most? Let me know in the comments below. Mine was probably Margaret Wants to Adopt, because I have a 16-month-old boy and I'm dreading when he gets to that age where he has imaginary friends. If he told me anything like that young boy, we'd be gone. Like, just gone. Like, nope, not dealing with it. Anyway, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, I'm sending all my love and positivity your way. Bye.